Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brothers and sisters. Welcome to chapter 10, new topic talking about the database modeling. Database modeling is a kind of how the data is storing, how the database storing and interacting with the inquiry of the information, the deleting or updating the transaction. So in order to do that, we need to first model in the programming stage. In the programming and planning stage, we need to build a conceptual model for the database to handle those storing, updating, and deleting, or any even copy and so on. So for the accounting information, we need to have modeling to guide as a guideline how the data should be stored and so on. So we'll discuss that in details. We will talk more. We will focus on the REA. REA is stand for Resource Events Agent. So it's kind of approach that handle only the accounting and the financial information. So let's go. The objectives of this chapter is first to understand the REA first, and also we try to compare it with the traditional traditional relationship modeling. We will try also to understand the structure of the REA diagram, trying also to draw and create a resource event agent diagram. We will also discuss the entity-wide REA diagram by applying the view of integration, meaning that we integrate more than one cycle into one REA diagram. To have a good understanding of data modeling, we should understand what we want to do with this data. So this data is will be serving as supporting information for decision making and so on. So either internal or external, as we explained it in last chapter. So we need to understand the organization decisions and the information needed basis first, and we will link it to the database. Okay, so first, business organizations use business process to get things done. So this process are a set of structured activities that are performed by people, machine, or both to achieve a specific goal. So let's say we want to, for example, the achieving goals to meet the target for sales or to make a profit. So make profit, we need to sell items. So we need to structure these activities of selling, marketing, production, and purchasing raw materials. All of this should be structured in a way it is very organized, involving the people, the machine, to produce and to achieve that specific goals. So the key decision and the information needed often come from those business processes or a set of structured activities. So we also need to understand that there is the transactional information is there is a parties from internal and external parties in the interact with the accounting information system. So business organizations conduct business transaction between internal and external stakeholders. So let me give you an example of let's say the sales process. So it comes first when the customers, the external parties placing an order, and then we should have an internal parties, which is the employee, the clerk, who receive the sales order and process in terms of key in into the system if we use automated to check the availability of the items to from the warehouse, and also to send to check the credit limit for sure in the other department and so on. So we have two parties interacting to process this kind of transaction. Okay, so we have internal stakeholders are employees in the organizations or the managers, whereby the external stakeholders are the trade partners such as customers, vendors, as well as the other external organizations such as bank and governments. So we have interaction between the two. So the accounting information systems captured the flow of the information between these parties or users for the various business transactions. So their main role, or the role of the accounting information systems, is to capture this flow of information between the external and internal parties. Again, we bring this diagram just to simplify and recall how the flow of the information for each party, either internal or external. So we have vendors, investors, creditors, banks, government agencies, and we have customers. Those are all external parties, whereby employees, managers are internal parties, and we can see how the flow of the information. Yeah, for sure. When we talk about, let's say, vendors, we have purchase orders. The accounting information systems caring about the information flow out to the vendors, and then also when the vendors or suppliers send the items or the raw materials to the company, we care about the details and information about goods and services and so on. So we just need here to understand the flow that the accounting information system is dealing with, information flow in and out from the company to the other parties, either internal parties or external parties. So how the accounting information systems will handle this data? So we need to have what we call database modeling to handle this kind of data. So basic business process is a transaction between business organizations and external parties. Fundamentally involves a give and get, or give and receive exchange. This basic business process in under the revenue: give the goods, give services, and get cash or receive cash. For expenditure: get the goods, get services, and give or receive give cash. And then the production: give labor, give give raw materials, and we get finished goods. Payroll: give cash, get labor. Financing: give cash, get cash. In the previous three slides, we did explain the business process, and we also explained how the interaction between the accounting information system as an entity with internal parties and external parties to recognize and handle the financial transaction. And we did mention external parties is the example is the suppliers and the customers. We give example for the internal parties like employees and management and so on. So let's see here what is the component of the accounting information systems. So ICE is consists of people who use the system, processes, technology involving data, software, and information technology, and also the controls to safeguard this information, because information now for the accounting information system is considered as valuable assets. Okay, so transactional data is collected and stored into meaningful information form, which business decisions are made and provide adequate controls to protect and secure the organizational data assets, as we said just now. After we discuss in details the transactional information and the relationship between or the interaction between parties and the accounting information systems, let's talk about the information needed for decision making. So managers need financial and non-financial information in formats not provided by GAAP. GAAP stands for General Acceptable Accounting Principles based on accounting systems. So saying that, creating a separate information systems to support each user's view results in a multiple functionally disconnected systems with accuracy and data currency problem. So it leads to the development of semantic models of accounting information systems that support multiple users' view. So to support multiple users' view, we need to create a data model to serve and support this multiple users' view. So the concept of data modeling is the process of creating a data model for data to be stored in a database. So this data model is conceptual representation of data objects, the association between different data objects and the rules. So meaning that the data modeling, it is kind of structured uh, conceptually to explain the objects within the data and explain how the relationship between this data, and we need to explain different relations in terms of the cardinality. We will explain that in a short while. Let's have a look to the data design process. There are 5 basic stages to database design process. First is system analysis. Identifies users' need, assess the visibility of developing a new system, define the scope of the new system, and makes preliminary decision on the hardware, software requirements. And remember, we are talking about new database or new system. Okay. So the second is conceptual design, developing the different scheme for each items or scope of the new system. Okay, so then we have the physical design in translating the conceptual system schemes into the actual data structure, and then we have the implementation and conversion includes all activities associated with transferring data from existing system to the new system and so on, and then use maintenance and of the new system. This is a continuous process. What we need to focus on is the first two. The first two, these two systems, the system analysis and conceptual design. On these two systems, we are building the database modeling. So database modeling is basically involved in system analysis and conceptual design. Having said that, let's have a definition for data modeling. Data modeling is the process of defining a database so that it faithfully represents all aspects of the organizations, including its interaction with external environment. We have two approach for data modeling. We have entity relationship diagram, AR, which is traditional in then we have the new system, or the REA that we explained. REA is mainly focused for accounting and information transactions because it consider the interaction between resource, event, and agents. So what is REA? REA model is an accounting framework for data modeling critical resources, events, agent, and the relationship between them. It permits both accounting and non-accounting data to be captured. It's also to be implemented with either relational or object-oriented database structure design. We will explain that in detail. To simplify the idea, so we have resource, events, and agent. So for the economic resources, is considered the assets of the company, and it's linked as a stock flow to the economic events by either selling or purchasing. So its effect changes in the resource. It should affect the resource. And then we have participation. We have economic agents, individual or entity participate in the events. So the main idea is having an event that affect the resource, and this resource either to be stocks, inventory, or cash. So the event either if selling, then we consider the resource, or if it is inventory, will decrease. But if we receive cash, then the cash will increase. Okay, and we should have for this event we should have two parties or agent. We have internal employee who handle the events internally, and we have external customer who make the order and transfer or pay the cash. Let's have a look into the element of REA model. So we have economic resources, which is any things that have economic value. Objects that are scarce and under the control of the organization, meaning the organization is owning that resources, economic resources, and they can sell or purchase and use that economic resource. So used in the organization will use in exchange, and it may increase or decrease by the exchange. Then we have the events fell into two groups. Economic events affect increases or decreases in the resources as represented by the stock flow. Then we have support events, which is either to be control, planning, and management activities related to the economic activities that do not directly affect resource change, like for example checking the credit, checking the availability. That is activity, supporting activities, but it's not the activity where affect the economic resources decreasing or increasing. Then we have agents, individuals or departments, organizations that participate in economic and supporting events. Each event associated with at least one internal agent and one external agent that participates in the exchange. REA diagram is a advanced system or unique version of the entity relationship diagram ER, which is the diagram that we explained, that is explaining the relationship between entities and the association without involving the details about the resources. So that's the main difference between the two. So we will explain in a short while that compare between the two, the AR and REA modeling of database. So you can see here in the in this diagram or figure that we have economic events. We have here it is events. Here we have resource. Okay, and here we have agent. This one is external. Here we have internal. Okay, so we can see that it brings the three REA to the for modeling, database modeling, and also explained the link between them. So the link between them, we will have more details in the cardinality ratios. Cardinality means the redundance of the how often it happened, the how, what is the control of the flow of the information between those parties. Under the REA, we also will have discussion of the duality events. Duality cardinality is the exchange. Exchanges are a pair of economic events. We will have two events connected within the REA modeling. So we will have profound discussion in a short while about the duality. So here let's discuss the differences between the AR diagram and RA diagram. AR diagram, it is the entities that involve one class in AR diagram determined by cardinality and readability, whereby in the entities under the RAA, three classes in RAA diagram: resource, events, and agent, organized into constellation by class. The sequencing of events. AR diagrams present static picture of the underlying business process. Static mean it's not dynamic. Okay, it's not dynamic, so it's kind of one time happen, whereby the sequencing of events here under the RAA diagram focus on the sequences of events. And then naming the convention for entities under AR diagram, entities names always in the singular noun form, whereby the under the RAA diagram apply this rule when naming resource and agent entities, but events are giving the verb activity action and names. So since we have the events, so it is different. So we need to use we need to use verb to describe the events. Okay. That is the main differences between the traditional modeling AR diagram with the RAA diagram. Okay, so the exchanges are the pair of economic events, as we said, duality, because we have duality, give activities and receive activities. The connection between these dual events is the give events and the receiving events. So in the diagram in the right side of the slide, you can see here the upper side is about giving activities. We give activities for this economic event is about giving activity, whereby for the receiving activities is receiving activities, if you notice here, and it both are connected. How it connected? Reason it's connected because it happened because of this give, because we give let's say the company is selling stuff to the customers, because we give a resource to the external parties, we give them items or product, so we they need to give us cash. Okay, they need to give cash, and then so that is how we link the two events, because this one is those events are related to each other. That's why we call it events duality. Okay, so this diagram also explaining the arrangement of entities in the RAA diagram. So you can see here we have resources, we have events, and we have agent. So you can see the explanation here, the explanation for each flow and so on. So let's start with external parties. External parties here, the external agent place and participate to send, let's say, the customer order, and then this one is checking the availability of the item, so they will check into the resource custody event of the resource, and then we when the items is they will when the items is available, then they will send it and give the economic give the event will be give to send to the internal parties will handle this transaction, but it will be a send or give transaction to the agent, to the external party. And then we also have related to this supporting event is related to the give economic, and then we have the external parties when they send the cash pay, they will we will have receiving economic events, and then we the one who receive is the clerk, the internal agent, receive the cash and deposit to the resource bank account. That's how we explain it. We have here some like two slash and one circle and this three lines. So we will explain in details what is this. It illustrates the cardinality relation, because we know if we don't have this, we will understand. Let's say this one is association, this event is associated to this, but how it's associated, it should be illustrated by those kind of simple. We will explain what is it. Let's have a look to the database modeling, creating an individual RAA diagram steps. So step one is to identify the event entities. We need to know what is the events uh, within this data modeling transaction. Okay, then we have identified the resources affected with this transaction, identify the agent entities, and lastly, we need to determine the association and the cardinalities between the entities. We need to know the relationship. Not only that, we need also to know the redundance or the cardinality of of that relation. Mean we need to know the rules of that association. Let's have a profound look into the steps. So the first step is identifying the event entities. In the event entities, at a minimum must include the two economic give and receive activities that either reduce and increase the economic resources in exchange. May include supporting events, but the focus will be on the value chain or the economic events itself. Okay, events that do not add any value, meaning that it's not related, it's about like bookkeeping task, it shouldn't be included into the economic events, because this is a kind of system to the system, within the database. It will happen within the database itself. Okay, so step two is about identifying the resource entities. Each event must be linked to at least one resource entity which economic value will be either reduced or increased by event. Economic event directly affect the resources. Supporting event indirectly affect them. So it's supporting event, but it's not affecting the resources. So let's say the arrangement of the events entities in order of occurrence. So you see here we have 4 activities or 4 events, and we have the arrangement for starting from of the order of events. So we see we have checking the availability, we have taking the order, we have the shipment of the product, we have also receiving the cash. So this is the 4 activities that involve internally to process the sales order. So if you notice, the verifying the availability and taking order is considered an supporting activities, because it's not affect directly the economic resources, whereby shipping the product will reduce the inventory, so it is economic events. And then we have receiving cash, which will increase the cash balance. Okay. Okay, step three is identifying the agent entities. Each economic event entities in an REA diagram is associated with at least 2 agent entities, one internal and one external agent. This figure here is illustrating the REA model events in the middle, and the relation with the resources and agent. So for example, let's say we take the event verify the availability. Who's the agent who handle this or affecting or associated with this event, normally by customers when they place the order. And then we have the also internal agent or employee to check the availability of the items, and the resource related to this event is the inventory. Another example, let's say we take the cash received events. The cash received event is related to the cash resource, and it's related to the customer when they make the payment. The customer, when they meet the payment, then it's related to the event of receiving cash. And we have cash received clerk who handle and receive the cash. Step 4 in creating a REA diagram is to determine the association and the cardinalities between the entities. So the association is the natural of the relationship between the 2 entities, represented by labeled line connected. So just a labeled line, just line to connect between the 2 entities. Uh, but the cardinality, explaining the degree of the association between the entities. So it means the cardinality is giving a detail describing the number of possible occurrence or possible recording in one entity that are associated with a single occurrence in a related entities. The cardinality reflect business rules in playing for particular organization. Sometimes the rule is same across the organizations, but not necessary to be. Okay, so we will have more discussion in the cardinalities. But remember, we are talking about database modeling, meaning that we are trying to talk about how one entity table affecting other entity table. So is it one time update or one time record, or many times when and many items related? So we need to figure out that. And talking about the cardinality, we need to talk also about foreign key and also the primary key, which will be explained in next chapter in details, but we also did explain it in the beginning of I think in the chapter 3 or 4. This figure is showing the alternative techniques for presenting the cardinalities. We have three main figures or three main techniques. One is in the bottom, starting showing that using the just using a simple alphabet or numbers. So this one is representing many. And this one representing one, so many to one, many to one, to read this association, whereby to have more illustration, the second alternative in the middle is to putting 0 and then comma m. It means many or 0 to 1 or 1 or 1 comma 1 mean 1 or 1. And the alternative one, which is the most common techniques, and they call it cross-foot sample, showing the cardinality. So if we have this one, many, and the circle means many or 0 to 1 or 1, and we will explain what does it mean in the next slides. But the main concept here, we need to understand what does it mean and why it represent why many. And normally we need to have to place a question when we have this kind of relation come out to the other entity. Okay, so we have this diagram here, explaining the association and cardinalities in the REA model. So let's have example of customer order. Starting from customer will place a request to check the availability events. This is the events. Okay, so if you notice here, we have one mean one customer should will place 0 or many orders, meaning that the record in the database for one customer, yeah, we will record one customer, but this customer can make many orders. Why or 0? Because we can record the name for future check and orders. Okay, so that's why normally most of the cases you will see when we have a record of agents with events, it will be 1 or 1 and 2, 0 and or many. So that is the normal practice or normal relation with the events. So just put it in mind, so you will get to understand how to write the cardinalities with the cardinalities description samples for between the agent and the events. So now we need to understand also the relationship or the cardinalities between the events and the resources, which is normally it's different based on the rules of the organization, based on the rule of the company. Okay, so in here we have review the items, we have many or zero, two, one, or many. Meaning that, how to understand that? It will be for when we send a record information about the availability of items, it can be many or zero, and the record of the inventory, it can be one or many of items. So let's say I have 100 items in the inventory record. So the checking of availability can be checking one item or checking many. More than one, it will be many. So that's why we put one or many. Okay, so that's how we explain it here. Remember, we are talking about database record. Database. So we are handling the information, how to model the database conceptual record in the data. Okay, so when we send this data, send this information, or send the information, let's say we go back to here. When we place the order, we have the same relation of the many or zero and one and many for taking order. If you notice, it's quite same here. The reason it's same because it is it's considered as supporting and supporting events, and it's kind of the inventory is the many including many records about the inventories. Okay, and then let's talk about the shipment of product, shipping the product. So we have also the same thing. One, we ship record shipment of many or one, and this shipment will it will be for many shipment to the handled to the customer. Okay, it will be many for one customer, it will send one many items or one. Okay, so it's quite clear, isn't it? But let's say the duality cardinalities, which is quite not the same. If you see here, it's not the same. This one is not the same between these two. These two are this taking orders and verify availability is supporting events. So meaning that for one verify availability item, one verify availability events, it should be at least one taking order, meaning that we cannot place the order unless we have one check event of the verifying the availability of the items. Okay, that's the first one. And then we goes to the causes, meaning that the taking orders is causing the shipment of the product. So you can see also we have for one taking orders, it should be one shipment of the product. Okay, that's how we relate the events. But the duality relationship between events, which is the exchange give and receive events, so we it is different based on the rules of the organization. So in this case, we see here shipment of the product, many or one, it should have zero or one receiving of cash. What does it mean? Meaning that the shipment of product, either it is one shipment or many, we can record cash receive for one cash receive for one shipment or for many. Meaning that because this one shows that the company is giving what we call monthly payment, giving strategy to this customer to pay either after 1 week or after 1 month. So they will settle the payment for many shipment or for one. Okay, but let's, for example, we have this many or one, and we have here 1 to 1 and 1, meaning that what we understand from this, if we have 1 and 1, it means that for each product shipment we should have cash in spot, meaning that they don't give credit advantage, credit sell. They just sell on cash, so it's cash and carry. Okay, so that is how we understand it and explain it. This figure is showing the REA diagram for purchase and cash disbursement procedures. You can see here that the quite same concept if we apply. So suppliers, we made an order the product from the suppliers, and normally we will have we order many items from one suppliers from so one supplier can be in the recording the database of this supplier, we can record uh, many many items, and the order of the product is related to the inventory resource. And you can see here the dualities. This is the relationship between supporting and the relationship between the two events. We cannot we don't call it duality because it's a relationship between supporting and economic events. But when it is really when the event is between two economic events, so we call it duality events, where we have increasing of one side of the assets or economic resource, and one other side is decrease here. So this one I think is quite same, so I don't need to explain in details the cardinality and so on. Here we have REA diagram for payroll procedures, explaining the payroll. We have the cash disbursement event, and we have get time and so on. The agent here is the supervisors, workers, and the payroll clerk. Many-to-many association, which is meaning that we record in one table many information about many times, and we record also from another table in the database for many times. So it's associated. These associations must be reconciled. It results on repeating groups data that need to be normalized before implementing the model in a relationship or relational database. The solution for this is to create a link table that contain the primary key of the association table. Remember, we have the traditional entity relational diagrams, convenient to include the link tables in the model so that it closely reflects the actual database. This one will create conflict with roles that on event entity should be connected to at least one resources and to agent entity. So this role will create a conflict because we have many to many. Technical requirements for implementing an many-to-many association, but not for the modeling database. So it's the technical problem is in the implementation, not in the modeling database. Okay. So here we have the link tables in an REA diagram. What I mean by link table, it means that we have a link table to represent many to many. So because we have many to many, if you notice here, we have many and we have many. That is what we mean many to many. So if we have many to many, the solution is to have this link table. This is a link table. Okay, link table is play a role in linking the resources and the events. This is the events in a form of many to many. So inventory verify link and inventory order link slash, you can see that we have these tables. I will not go in details on this because it's more technical, and it's not recommended to have kind of this, because kind of uh, database modeling, but in some cases we need, according to the needs of the cases. Let's say we have record of customers, sorry, record of students, many students, and also we have many courses that recorded within the student. So we need to have this kind of many to many. Anyhow, but it's just for you to know, but we remain with the basic cardinalities diagram. After we have the discussion about the creating RA individual modeling database, let's go through the creating an enterprise-wide RA model, meaning that view the integration is the integration of multiple RA diagrams into a single global or enterprise model, and it involves three steps to create the integration or enterprise-wide RA model. So the step one is consolidate or combine the individual models. So we have create the individual RA models, and then we combine them. How to combine? By checking the redundant events, agent and resource entities, call bust into a single entities where it's possible. Step 2, define the primary key, foreign keys, and attributes. Separate table construct for each valid entities in RA integrated diagrams. Primary key should logically and uniquely define the non-key attributes in the table. Degree of association between table determines how foreign key are assigned. So now we need first, the step one is to consolidate and combine the individual models. And when we combine, for sure we will have redundant events and agent and resource entities. We need to check that and singulate the entities where it's possible, meaning that instead of having two same agent, we should in the diagram we should have one and we link them. Step 2 is to define the primary key, foreign key, and the attributes. We will explain and have tables showing the each events along with the primary key, foreign keys for each events and resources. Okay, so how to do? We need to separate table construct for each valid entity in the RAA integrated diagram. So we separate the tables for each entities, and then we should assign primary key, which is logically and uniquely define the non-attributes. It represent this table. It shows this unique key, or for main key, primary key is the key where it's not it's the what we call the primary feature of this table. Then we have degree of association between tables to determine how foreign keys are so in here we have the figure explaining the integrated REA diagram. We have in the right side, if you see here, right side we have the customer customer placing the order, and then you see here the events here is the event is the same what we the same example we discussed, verifying the availability. We have taking orders, we have shipping of the product, and then cash receipt. And then the resource that is related to this side, to the right side, is the inventory and the cash. Okay, but to see the left side of the diagram, we have also the purchasing diagram. So we have here the ordering the product, receiving the events, and disbursement of cash, which is both events or both diagrams. This diagram in the right side for the purchasing and in the left for sales is are related through the event, inventory, resource, and the cash. So this is the way we integrating the database. Okay, so that's how we integrate it through what we call the steps that we mentioned earlier. First, we need to combine and then determine the primary key and the foreign keys, and as well as the attributes. Okay, so in here, this table is explaining first the table name or in the database. Let's say inventory. Here we have the inventory, and in the inventory the primary key should be the item number, and then we don't have foreign key. Then the attributes, anything about the items in the inventory description, warehouse location, quantities, and so on. And then for cash we have the account number is the primary key, and then we have no foreign keys here. We have the attributes is the balance. So if you notice, these two are the resources. So in resources, we have primary keys. Okay, we don't have foreign keys for the resources, but for the supporting for the events, this is events. We will see that we have for the events we have foreign key and we have primary key. So for verifying availability, any query number is the primary key. For the verifying availability events, we have customer number and we have employee number. Customer number is a foreign key in this table, but it is what we call primary key in other table. Okay, and then we check again taking orders. The order number is the primary key, and then an inquiry number and customer number, employee number is the foreign key. If you see here at this example, the inquiry number is foreign key here, but it is an inquiry it is a primary key for the verify availability. Okay, and so on. You go to all of it. So what we notice here in this table, that for the resources, we have primary key but no foreign keys, and for the event and agent, here all is events. All of this is events. You can see that we have primary key and foreign key. Here we see also this is also still events. So we still have the same things as we said. We have primary key and foreign key, but for uh, agent, this is agent, 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 and this is, I will talk about it. So for agent also we have primary key but no foreign key. For link table, this is for when we have many to many items, numbers, and in a query, let's say, as a primary key, but we don't have foreign keys, okay? As we say when we talk about many to many. Okay, so also this is all link tables. So in link tables, we have the same what we say. We have primary key, but uh, no foreign keys. So let's agree now, just to make it easy for understanding, that in the table, in the when we create integrated REA diagram, the primary key will be for all tables, either entity for event, or entity of resource, or entity of agent. For the foreign key, mainly it is for the events, whereby the resources, agent, and link tables, there is no foreign keys. Okay. Talking about the steps to create enterprise-wide RAA model for database, when we combine more than elements or entities, diagrams into one. So in that case, we will be facing a normality problem. So we need to ensure the normality matter, ensure the normality, and it is by assigning the primary key and attribute to relational tables, which must be comply with normalization rules. And the normalization rules have three main levels: first normal form, second normal form, and third normal form. So the first normal form is about the structure of the table. So the table, there are a few rules, three or four rules. First rule is to the table, the labels of table should be unique from each. So the heading of the table shouldn't be same labels, having two labels same. The second is about the value in each cell in the table should have one value only. It shouldn't be carrying two, let's say, two names in one cell. So one name in each cell. And then also it should, in terms of the measurement of the value, or the, so if we talk, if this column is about the age, so it should represent the number of years, or birthday, so it's the date of birth. So it shouldn't be carry, let's say, alphabet in that column. That is the first normalization form. The second normalization form is about the partial dependency, meaning that shouldn't be this table shouldn't be rely on or some items or some columns in the foreign shouldn't rely on other items in the same table, except for the primary key. Okay, whereby for the third normal form, we will talk about it here. So one or more anomalies will exist in tables that are not normalized to the third normal form level. Tables in third normal form will be free of anomalous and meet two conditions. The first one, all non-key attributes, or we call it foreign key, will be wholly and uniquely depend on the primary key. Okay, none of the non-key attributes will be depend on the other non-attributes or the foreign keys. Okay, so database is are not static. It is a dynamic, mean it is changeable, as need to change the additional attributes and table may be needed for the normalization purpose. So the third steps in having or in creating an enterprise-wide REA modeling is to construct the physical database and produce users view. Create physical relationship table or create a physical relational tables based on table description. And resources and agent must be initialized with data value. Resulting database should be rich enough to support the information needed for all systems users. Okay, so financial statements and other accounting reports can be structured from underlying events data. So do you get the idea now? So when we do the integration or the enterprise wide REA models, we should consider the step 3 of constructing the physical database in order to have to produce the user's view. So in our case we are talking about accounting information systems, so we need to link that events and support the financial statement and other accounting reports. Okay, accounting figures extracted from REA tables used to prepare statements and even journal vouchers. Management reports are also created from REA tables. So as we said, management reports and accounting information systems or the management financial statements, is extracted from REA tables that is stored in the database. So this figure is showing how the calculation of accounting numbers from the REA tables. So if you notice here, in the first table, we have the primary key. Primary key is customer number, and the rest of table, or it is either we can call it non-key or foreign keys. So those foreign keys are connected to other tables. So this primary key is connected to this is the name of the table. This is customer table, and we have shipping the product table. In shipping the product, you can see here the primary key is the invoice number. Okay, and we have the customer number is a foreign key in this table. Okay, and we have also cash receiving cash table. Receiving cash table, the primary key is the remittance number, and this remittance number carrying some information like date and amount of the cash received, and this amount will connected or to create the accounting receivable. Okay, and then also we have inventory ship link. When we have, this is in case we have many to many, I can many to many relations. So in order to normalize it, this issue is to apply this technique. Then we have link table, inventory and ship. Inventory and ship, if you see here, we have quantity and we have the invoice number, which is the primary key. In this case, the primary key here, we have join key or compressed key. For it is the item number and the invoice number. So that's what we call it compressed number, compressed key, primary key, compressed primary key. Okay, and this table of cost of goods sold, and it is the primary key here is the item number. Item number is connected, it is part of the other primary key here. If you notice here, this table, why we have here compressed or join key, because this table is what we call link table. Link table, many to many. That's why we have two primary key here, and these two primary key are, one of them is primary key in the table of inventory, and another key, the invoice number, is a primary key in table of ship the product. So that's how it works. That's how it works. The inventory value comes from the quantity on hand plus the unit cost. Let's have a look now into the REA modeling approach and the value chain analysis. Competitive advantages from using REA approach can be seen via the value chain analysis. Value chain analysis distinguishes between the primary activities and supporting activities, which the primary activities, the activity that create value, and the supporting activity where it's just supporting activity for the primary activity. And so REA approach to modeling business process helps managers focus on the economic event that and identify non-value added activities that can be eliminated, and this is goes in line with what we call the stream value, the value stream strategy in the first class companies when they try to eliminate those non-adding value activities. Storage of financial and non-financial data in the common database support multiple users' views and reduce multiple data collection, storage, and data procedures. REA model provides more relevant, timely, and accurate information. Okay. I just bring this figure just to show you an example of the supporting activities and primary activities in the production or manufacturing context or scenario. So you see here we have five main or primary activities. We have inbound logistics, operation, outbound logistic in terms of distribution and shipment, and then we have marketing and sales up to service or repair and maintenance. Those are activities which consider primary activities, where we have firm infrastructure, human resource, technology, purchasing. All of this is supporting activities. Okay, so in REA approach for modeling, it will help to assist the managers to distinguish between those activities, either it's primary or support. That's all for today. Let me recap what we have discussed today. We discussed the database modeling in general, but we try in this class to simplify and come to the platform basic pillars for this. So we start to talk about the organizational transactions. We talk about the information needed for decision makings, and then we try to simplify the fundamental concept or notion of the flow of the information of the transaction between the accounting information system and the other related parties, either external parties or internal parties. And we say it's based on give and get or give and receive concept. After that, we say that the database modeling it's based on this concept, based on give and get concept, and we did discuss the REA modeling approach. REA modeling approach stands for resource, event, and agents entity. So it's try to this model is try to capture the transaction or the events based on who's the agent who handle this or participate in this events. And this event is categorized into two, either economic events or supporting events. And then we discuss also the effect of the resource, and the economic event is either reduce or increase the economic resources. We talk about the duality, where we have two relationship between two events, two economic events that affect the economic resources. We then explain the steps to create REA model diagram, and then we explain also the integrated view. Integrated view is basically about the enterprise-wide REA modeling by integrating two or combine more than individual REA models into into one diagram. And when we do that, we will have what we call primary key, and because we will link to more than two different tables, so we need to ensure we classify and we identify the primary key and foreign key, or we call it non-key, and the attributes. And then we need to link the or create the relational tables between them. Having talking about this kind of and wide wide REA approach, we should discuss and try to minimize handle the normality tables. In normality tables, the tables should meet the requirement of third normal form, or we call it third NF. And then we also talk about the lastly we talk about the value chain analysis and connected to the REA modeling. Okay, so that's all. So next week, inshallah, we will have discussion and more in this matters. Thank you so much, and see you next week.